important to listen to these candidates and what they have to say. I'm going to give you just a few rules, not many. First of all, to the candidates, I don't want to hear any negative comments against each other because you're all wasting time when you do that. We want to hear about your platform. Okay, that's what's important. Secondly, I don't want to hear jeering, booing, putting people down, because again, we're wasting time that way. Put your energy to the voting booth. If you don't like someone, if you don't agree with him or her, then don't vote for them on next Monday, okay? But what I really want you all to do is to listen, all right? So this is how the evening will go. We're going to have a 3-minute introduction from each one of the candidates. We're going to have 2 minutes per candidate to respond to questions. And we're going to have 3 minutes per candidate for closing. Now, if there is time left over, we will have questions from the audience. Otherwise, we've already gathered questions from people in the community, and that's what we'll be talking about first of all. So we have a total of 7 questions, okay? At the end, there'll also be a mix and mingle, so you'll have an opportunity to informally speak to the candidates. Amanda is our timekeeper. What she will do is, halfway through the time, she will raise her hand, and then when it's time, she will wave it. Okay, so we're doing, first of all, the 3-minute introduction. At a minute and a half, she will raise her hand. At the 3-minute mark, she will wave her hand, and it goes on to the next one. So as I said, we put everyone seated in alphabetical order based on their first initial. So we have Cedric Ottawa, Chiara Padovani, Francis Nunziata, Frank DiGiorgio. We have Frederick Fusu. We have Keaton Austin, and we have Weekend Alawadi. Thank you. Okay, so let us start off with Cedric. Here you go, Cedric.
Thank you. Good evening. To begin, I'd like to thank the different neighborhood organizations for allowing us to get together and exchange our ideas. I'd like to thank you, the community members, for coming out. It shows your interest. This is where we live. And unless we get engaged, nothing changes for the positive or even maintained for the things that we like. So again, thank you for coming out. My name is Cedric Ogilvie. I'm ready to be Ward 5 City Councilor. It's because of people like you and myself in the room, and these other candidates up here, why I decided to run. There's a lot of really good people in our ward, lots of good people. But so often, we never hear the stories about those good people. Too often we hear about the issues that our community has. Of course, we are now in a much wider community, number 12 and number 11 being put together. But again, the good stories aren't being told about the hard work being done, about the lives being expanded, right? About the changes that individually we're making and also changing our community. There are vast improvements that can be made, however. To the west of here, transit and roads always seem to be under stress. In neighborhoods such as this, we always have issues with flooding during certain times of the year. And I ask myself, why is it when other neighborhoods have these sort of issues, it's not the intensity that we have? And what I find is that there's a bit of a lack of respect. These sort of things don't happen in neighborhoods where individuals and communities are respected, right? There's a budget. Are we getting our fair share? The share that we're getting is being allocated appropriately. That's why I'm here. From my experience with small business, I understand the value of a dollar. can't spend a dollar you don't have, but at the same time, you can never grow if you don't invest the dollars that you do. Again, I'm Cedric Ogilvie, and I'm running for City Councilor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to the organizers for organizing these debates and for everyone coming out tonight. My name is Kiara Padavani, and I'm running to be your city councilor here in York South Weston. York South Weston has always been my home. When my grandparents, my nonna and my nonna, when they immigrated to Canada, they came to York South Weston and they settled here, and they came here looking for a future of opportunity for their children. And my family, we've been here ever since. You know, when I was little, I used to go around and I used to tell everyone that my nonna, he built this city with his bare hands. And like so many immigrants, and especially the Italian generation that came during those years, and the immigrants and waves of immigration that came after them, were city builders. And they came here to build a community with pride. And that's what I want to do as your city councilor. And since I've been here my whole life, and I grew up here, I went to school here, I went to York Memorial, my husband and I, we were just at Lawrence and Weston. I take so much pride in this community, and as a social worker, I work in this community because I believe in this community. But I have seen this place be neglected. As a resident and as somebody who works here, I've seen the consequences of decisions being made at City Hall that have been leaving our community behind. You know, we've had extreme flooding in an area that we've known for over 30 years is very high risk to flooding. We've seen poverty and inequality in the city increase instead of decrease over the last 30 years. We've become a child care desert. We have one of the highest child care poverty rates in the city of Toronto. This community deserves better. And as your city councilor, I want to fight for better for this place because it doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to live in a community like this. We can and we should be demanding better when we go and vote on October 22nd. It's why I'm running. I'm running to build the kind of community that my grandparents came here looking for. A community where it doesn't matter what side of the train tracks you live on or what side of Bloor Street you live on. This community belongs and the city belongs to all of us. We should all have a fair share in this city. We should expect to have the same level of services and resources being allocated across the city. I don't believe in building a city where your access to those services depend on your postal code. That's why I'm running, and I hope that on October 22nd you will vote for change. Because after 30 years of neglect, it is time for change in York South Weston, and I hope to bring that change for you. My name is Kiara Padavani, and if you think it's time for change, vote for it on October 22nd. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and I want to thank the organizers that sponsored this event this evening. I'm Frances Ninziad, and I was first elected in 1985 as a school board trustee. In 1988, I was elected on the City of York Council. 1994, I was elected as mayor until we amalgamated in 1998, and I'm on the City of Toronto Council now, and I'm also Speaker of Council. I've lived in York South Weston since 1963, and this is my home, and I'm very proud of the people that live in York South Weston and how I've been able, over the years, to engage the community on a number of projects that we have been working on, especially in Weston. I've had millions of dollars in infrastructure money dedicated to York South Weston. We talk about the GO station and the Up Express, thanks to Laura Venezia, our former member of parliament, that helped me with getting the stop in Weston, as well as the Eglinton line. As you know, in 1995, the Eglinton subway was canceled. Now we're building that Eglinton line. We have a mobility hub at Eglinton and Weston Road. We're building a daycare center in Weston, in Mount Dennis, the biggest daycare center in the city of Toronto. We also negotiated with St. John's School. We're building a new Catholic school, and I've also negotiated a daycare center at St. John's. So I'm very proud of my record. I'm very proud that we've been able to get millions of dollars of infrastructure money dedicated to York South Weston. Now I know that there's been flooding issues not only in Ward 11 but Ward 12. What's very disappointing is in Ward 12 there's been millions of dollars that have been invested, but yet after the work was done, we still get flooding. And I think the people deserve an answer from the city on what happened and whose fault it was for the continuing of the flooding. In Ward 11, I'm very pleased to say that we have allocated the funding that's needed to start the work in 2019. So I'm very proud of my record. There's been a lot of changes in 30 years. The community center was built at Eglinton and Black Creek. I was involved in that. So yes, there's been a lot happening. Well, York South Weston has not been neglected. As a matter of fact, we've had more funding and infrastructure funding in York South Weston than ever in any other ward. I've had councillors in other wards asking me how I was able to get these projects funded and how they can get projects in their ward funded. So I'm very proud on my achievement that I've done. And what I've done over the years as well is engage constituents. And every issue that's come forward, if it's traffic, planning, or whatever issue, I engage all my communities. And I have public meetings constantly. And I'll tell you, I'm one-on-one when it comes to constituents. I do not ignore their phone calls.
Thank you, Louisa. My name is Frank DeGiorgio, and I'm the councillor in Ward 12. I was also elected in 1985. I lost an election in 1997 as a result of amalgamation. At that time, I ran in an area that was predominantly not an area that I was used to. Somewhat similar to the kind of situation we find ourselves in today. I'm running across a much larger area, an area that I'm not really accustomed with on the other side of Jane. I asked myself, why am I running? And I have a very simple answer. I represent the community that I respect. I know I've gone through the trial community. I bring an experience and leadership skills to the job of a counselor that only experience can basically, the kind of experience that you can rely on and the kind of experience that allows you to have an impact on decision making at the City of Toronto. For example, I know about poverty. I experienced poverty. When I came to this country, my family was not rich. I had to do everything on my own. My first job was maybe when I was 10 years old, setting up pins in a bowling alley. And if you remember what it was like, bowling alley pins were not set up with machines at the rear. You had to jump into the alley and put the pins up very quickly. That's what I did when I was 12 years old and I was going to elementary school. To help my family. The kind of experience I bring to this job has to do with my knowledge of human nature as well. Very simply, we all want more. All of us want more. Doesn't matter where you are on the economic scale. We all want more. And we all want to pay less. I understand what a transparent process is. I understand transparency. I understand that you have to explain to people exactly the way it is. You just make no excuses. This is the way it is. And I also bring to the kind of experience that allows me to protect people that I respect, allows me to protect them beyond any level of comprehension. Because you have to understand city policies, and you have to understand the rights that people have to process how to protect them. And unless you understand those things, you can't do the job properly. So put aside the rhetoric. I will do this, I will do that, I have done that. I've done many things in my community. I've done park improvements. I've had developments occur here. Right across the street, a beautiful development, when it's done. And the community was well treated and well respected. And the development was well received by the community. Not all developments proceed that way. But if they don't proceed that way, somebody pays the price. But it's not my community. So let me end up with one final comment. I provide the leadership that protects communities. I intend to provide the leadership in Ward 11 that protects communities. I urge you to vote Frank DeGiorgio. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Frederick Bosu. This might be your first first introduction to me, so I'm going to give you a little bio. I was born in a small village in Ghana, that's in the west coast of Africa, to two parents who were police officers. They immigrated to Italy because that was the closest route towards Canada. But we stayed in Italy for about a couple of years, and that's where actually I was baptized and learned the culture and my introduction to a multicultural nation of Canada. When we first immigrated here, we lived in Weston Road, Weston Church. I went to the Royal Daycare, that's still around. And then after daycare, I went to Immaculate Conception School, that's near Kiel and Lawrence. And then for high school, I went to Don Bosco. Maybe some of you folks might have heard of it. I got a forward coach there. I got to this in the perspective of a TTC operator. For nearly 10 years, I operated streetcars, St. Clair, every route I've taken. And many customers will ask me, why is the service so bad? Why is the TTC so terrible? Why is it always late? And I say, well, have you petitioned your city councilor? They're responsible. And all of these complaints got to me. I'm like, you know what? Everyone's always saying somebody has to do something about it. Well, I figured, you know what? That someone is me. You need to look in the mirror. You have to stand up and do something. Unfortunately, we get politicians to run a transit system. They don't even ride the transit system. When something happens, I hear it firsthand and I deal with it. And another major issue is the crime. The crime in this place is going up. The numbers tell you violent shootings, murders are all up. It never used to be this way. And soon, with the police cuts, they want to close the 12th division. They've already cut the gangs and drug unit. What's going to happen if they close 12th division? You have the Dewey buildings, you have the Woolner buildings, all these problem areas, Martin Ethan Way, all these places, the police are the thin line that protects you, the good guys from the bad guys. We need somebody who's going to protect this community, someone who's strong, someone who doesn't make excuses, and someone who gets things done. Ladies and gentlemen, Monday, October 22nd, I need you to vote Fred Fosu to protect your city, protect your community, and protect your family. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stephen Austin. My father was a customs officer in there. My mom's a Jamaican. My father left Guyana when I was young, and he migrated to Canada, and he was a head for customs one time in there. And he sent us after I come here in 1978, I think. 78. Right. Reason why I'm running, I'm usually on Weston Road all the time. My father was a Pentecostal pastor. And we be on Weston Road every time with the church. The church was the old theater right on Weston Road. He helped to build before he moved over to our rest of churches to build. Western Road, when I knew Western Road, was a vibrant area. Right. It was that Burger King of everything. Kentucky everything. Right. And there's a lot changed in Western Road. Western Road have a lot of problems. Homelessness is one. Right. A lot of drug use is two. Right. And a lot of problems with the landlords. And there's the reason why I'm running, to make a change, right, and to show where the taxpayers' money is going. We are accountable to fix the roads, fix everything, and make certain the taxpayers' money is spent properly. Meaning you pay taxes to this country, and our taxpayers' money are spent properly. If it don't spend properly, then it makes no sense. We are running to fix the problems. And we have to hold CPR accountable for spending the taxpayers' money the right way because of the flooding that's going on right now. And I would like to know how come this flooding is going on and you spend so much of taxpayers' money and it still continues? That means somebody mismanaged it wrong. And it's time for change, and I ask me for let me as a state council on Monday. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Lieutenant Allwood. I want to thank the association for putting this evening together. I want to thank my fellow candidates for being here. I want to thank you for having this conversation with us this evening. My name is Lee Camp, and I'm running for city council in this community. My story started like many of the stories in this room, in another country. I grew up in Nigeria. My father came here in the 70s to study. He went back home, and when I was a year old, my father passed away, leaving 3 small kids and a widow. She struggled. It took us 8 years, but we landed back at Pearson International when I was 8. Like every other immigrant, we started from the bottom, and we worked our way up. I grew up in Rexdale, Jamestown, and I lost friends to guns, to drugs, to deportation, to jail. And I said something has to change. So I became a social worker. And I moved up in my career, and I became the executive director of a nonprofit here in this community at Keelan, Eglinton, called For Youth Initiative. We serve 1,000 youth a year to keep them out of trouble. I was lucky enough to continue to do well in my career, and I was an advisor to government at the senior levels. And then moving forward, I was able to then be an executive at Mars Discovery District, right, supporting businesses to grow here in this community. Now, in our neighborhood, we've had 30 years of failed leadership. We are at the bottom of employment, education, supports, housing, infrastructure, training, at the bottom. I believe we can be better. I believe we can be more. I believe that it's time for a fresh start. In this neighborhood, I walk shoulder to shoulder with you, with Jerry and in your community to stand beside you to ensure that you have access to city services. Work with even Louisa to make sure at Falstaff that our young people were supported. In this neighborhood, at this moment, you've worked too hard for too long to be told that you can just be what you are right now. I believe we can be better. I believe we can be more. I believe we can do better than we are right now. On October 27th, we have a unique opportunity for a fresh start. And I look forward to the conversation this evening. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to start with the questions. Please listen carefully to the question, okay? Because I'm not going to keep repeating it. The first one is on safety. Safety has become a major concern across the city, but even more so in our ward and community. It involves criminal activity, small and large, gang violence, and vandalism, among many other things. What do you think the cause of these incidences are? What is your plan to address these issues? Do you support carding? And if not, what is your alternative? So, what do you think the cause of these incidents are? What is your plan to address these issues? Do you support carding? And if not, what alternatives do you have? Cedric, do you want to start, please?
Issues of safety go to the core of each one of us, right? In our homes, on our way to work, when we're out eating, trying to enjoy ourselves. None of those things happen without that inherent sense of safety. It's a big concern in our community. What do I think the cause is? It's a combination of things. Bad choices. There's some individuals who will continue to make bad choices. But then if you go a step further back, how come they're making so much bad choices? Did they have opportunities to make better choices? Did they have leadership to help them and teach them to make better choices? It's not a one-stop fixes all. Each person has their own responsibility. But ultimately, as a community, we're the ones who have to deal with the effects of it. So, on the carding issue, do I support carding? Absolutely not. Myself, I've never had a drink. I've never used drugs. I've never smoked. But yet I've been followed by the police. If any one of you can explain why that would be reasonable, why that would be okay, a Canadian citizen born here, I'd really like to hear it. I don't support carding. What I support is police officers engaging with the community, getting ahead of issues before they happen. Things just don't always spark off. There's always a wick. To every stick of dynamite, there's a wick. And what I need is for the officers and also our community, we have to feed them the information so that they can act on it, right? But we have to get out in front of these things in advance. Because just the look, my skin color, that can't be the reason to stop.
Just a reminder, we have 2 minutes for this. I have said this many times because this has been proven to be the case. The root causes of crime in any community is poverty and inequality. Which means if you want to address the root causes of poverty and inequality, that's what my platform is trying to do. And the way we address that is 3 things. I spoke earlier about how York South Weston has one of the highest child poverty rates in the city of Toronto. The city of Toronto already has the highest child poverty rate in the country. That's 1 in 4. 1 in 4 kids are living below the poverty line. Here in York South Weston, it's 1 in 3. If we want to tackle the root causes of crime and violence in this community, we need to tackle inequality and poverty. And that's what my platform is about. It's about making sure we tackle the child care desert in York South Weston. And I know my colleague to my right has spoken about new child cares. That's after several city-funded child cares have shut down. We need to be making sure that instead of voting against increased child care affordability in this country, like in this city, like our councillors have done numerous times, we need to be increasing that. We also need to be tackling the housing crisis. You talk to most people in this community and they're spending over 30% of their income on housing, whether it's paying a mortgage or rent when you can't pay your mortgage off yet. You're spending too much money on rent, on your housing, which means we need to tackle the housing problem. The final thing is providing local jobs. Those are the 3 ways that my platform will address the root causes of poverty and inequality. And that's how we build a community that works for everyone. When it comes to carding, I'm against carding, and I'd like to thank Cedric for speaking to that on a personal level. I'm against carding, and I'm going to be honest with you, I know that's probably not going to be a popular opinion in this room. Carding does not prevent crime. It doesn't prevent crime. It makes the relationship with already marginalized communities least trusting to the police. It makes it difficult for the police to actually do their job. And I'm against, time's up, sorry about that. We'll talk about it after.
Thank you. Thank you for that question, because I take community safety very seriously. And there has been an increase in crime in the city and in York South Weston, the whole city, at the violence that we've had in the past year. And this is due to a number of factors. As you know, we have a number of officers, police officers that have retired, and we haven't replaced the police officers. And our police officers don't have the tools that they need to do their job. And being on the Police Services Board, I know that firsthand. And what I will do, and by the way, 12th Division is not closing. And I will fight to keep that open. So whatever rumors you've heard about 12th Division is incorrect. I will fight to have the expansion of the neighborhood officer program into the neighborhoods of York South Weston. More police officers on the ground. That's what we need. That's what I'm hearing from my constituents. And I will continue to fully fund youth violence prevention initiative for Youth Initiative Frontlines Young Potential Fathers. Cardi, I support good policing, and I believe that officers that we're taking things too far, but they need the tools that they need to do their job. So I think that there has to be put in place a way that the police officers could continue doing their job, not carding, but they need those tools to do their jobs. And I think that because of a few police officers that took that job and took the carding to the extreme, into the negative, I think that we need to bring forward something where we can assist the police. It's hard for the police to do their job if they don't have the tools to do it. What I have done, I've also organized and participated in safety audits throughout York South Weston. I've organized town hall meetings. I have monthly town hall meetings with my residents and with the police. And we started the Weston Area Community Police Partnership.
Thank you, Louisa. Yes, safety is an important issue in all communities. And I can tell you that the level of safety in any community is a function of the amount of engagement that each of the local neighborhoods takes into participation in getting involved with dealing with the safety issue. We all feel a peace of mind if, in fact, council, one of the first things they do is they say, you know what, we've got to increase the number of police officers on the street. That will help us curb or at least minimize the amount of crime, but it doesn't eliminate crime. I think we all know that even if we had tripled the number of police officers on the street, they wouldn't be able to react fast enough to stop a drive-by shooting. So that increasing the number of police officers is not the answer. What's the root cause? The root cause is more and more young people are losing their way. And it starts right from an early age. It starts from the values that are instilled in kids by their mothers, and more importantly, it is the reinforcement, the possible reinforcement of the values in the school system. I don't think there is the positive reinforcement. I think, and I'm going back to my teaching days, I know that bonding with kids, you are able to reach some kids. You can't reach them all. But if you make an effort and reach some kids, you can impact their lives. And you can minimize crime that way. All you got to do is have an influence on 1 or 2 or 3 people. The police officers, the same thing. Having police officers in the schools doesn't necessarily make the school safer, but if a police officer is able to engage 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of the troublemakers in the school, not the good kids, not stand behind the good kids and make sure they don't get hurt. You have to engage the troublemakers. As a teacher, you have to engage those that cause the trouble. And you have to inspire them. You can't just say, out, or get the principal to deal with it. You have to deal with those people yourself and try and motivate them and inspire them. Thank you.
What is the root cause of all this violence? Well, there's no one root cause. It's a lot of causes. It's a slow decline in this community. Walking down the streets, I see pure drug addicts, closed stores, closed businesses, schools are closing. They want to close like police stations. What's going to happen if they close all these? You have no avenues for the children. When I was growing up, I had recreational places. I had places to go. I could play in the park. I don't see kids playing in the park anymore. I don't see them going to like rec, playing basketball, none of that. So where are they? They're on the streets. They're on the streets selling drugs because there's no jobs. And when you have no jobs, you don't have any dignity. Having a job gives you dignity. And these kids have no dignity. They have no respect for life. So they result in violence. That's what's causing it. And unfortunately, what happens is the police, their hands are cuffed, literally. It's quite ironic that the police officers have their handcuffs. because when they arrest these kids, they go to jail and come right back out. You know, it's a revolving door of going in and going out. And on top of that, there's not enough police. There's not enough police. Police sources have told me that at some nights there's only 3 cruisers patrolling this whole area. All of those breaking and enterings, what's causing that? It's the drug addicts. They're going into your cars, going into your houses, looking for their next fix. And soon marijuana is going to be legalized in less than 48 hours. All this stuff is happening, and we don't have leadership. Yeah, experience is great, but good experience. 30 years of failed policy is not good experience. We need a new leadership, ladies and gentlemen. And this is what I'm offering. Please vote Fred Weston. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we have a primary crime. I deal with it every day through the court system. I have a program called Young Lives Matter, right, Outreach Ministry. And we deal with it every day. Our problems is in Canada, in York, Southwestern. We lack of good mentors, good role models inside of this community. I met a gentleman the other day, willing, right, some Colombia or something like that, willing to train the kids for trades. He asks the city to help him. They refuse to help him. What those kids do? Those kids coming and dealing with drugs, right? The problem is the government have to be proper leaders, right? And plus, I don't believe the police should be blamed, right? Carding, yes, a certain type of police is one of what they want to do, and we have to lead them, right? And the police should be able to control itself. He's the one the government give him the authorities to respect him, and he should be one to respect him in each and every way. And I don't believe it should be carding. Carding should be a route. It should be good communication with the young people. And the young people trust the police, and the police trust the young people. And then you will see you have a better community. And I'll be honest with you, if I'm get elected, I will work for fix that communication with the young people and the police. Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Louisa. Community safety is personal to me. It's beyond politics. It is personal, deeply personal. As I've told you, I lost 10 friends in gun violence before I was 20 years old. That is why I am here. Ladies and gentlemen, in our community, homicide has increased by 200% over the last 8 months. That's by 40% over the same period. And break-ins by 10. Sorry, robberies by 10%. And we don't have a plan. It's just hope. I'm a father of 3 small kids. And I want to make sure that our community is stronger and safer. I live at Kilo Lawrence. You were all in the Facebook when you heard gunshots up and down our street on Lawrence. That's not okay. That is our neighborhood. Here's what I want to do. Every young person in this community, through my office, will have a mentorship program. We will ensure, because a mentor saved my life, so we will ensure that every young person has a mentor connected with them. During the summers, which is when the spike happens, we will ensure that there's more summer job opportunities, because every new development through Section 37, we will have dollars, and those dollars will be reinvested back into our neighborhood to ensure that there's more jobs. On top of that, the best part of community safety is about relationships. Good relationships with police, good relationships with each other. We are ready to mobilize as a community. So as a community, I'm going to ensure that police is connected directly with you, and we will know the hotspots in our neighborhood, and we will be able to connect specifically to those hotspots and get more police engaged in those areas. But no longer will we be reactive. We will now be proactive in our community. Thank you.
Okay, the next question, many of you have brought up the issue of flooding. I know that there are a lot of people in the audience that it's near and dear to their heart because they've experienced it. So, flooding has been worsening throughout the city due to severe weather conditions, and the 100-plus-year-old infrastructure is not keeping up with water drainage. This is leading to severe flooding in private properties on an ongoing basis. How will you resolve this major issue for our community and ensure that it does not recur, and that this is done in a transparent and inclusive manner?
Thank you, Louise. We know that with global warming, we're going to deal with much more intense storms that pass through. And the infrastructure we had wasn't ready for the storms we had of yesteryear, much less the storms of tomorrow. What we have to do is we have to make the investments today. We have to make the investments today in the neighborhoods that are worst hit, and then we move out from there. But along with that, we also have to understand, given the cost to everything, the fact that the water plan had been tabled by the mayor and his executive committee, that has extended the pain that all of you feel on your own properties. You're already taxpayers. You shouldn't be taxed twice. Once for taxes that go to the city, and then second to your insurance companies for the repairs that need to be made. You should only ever have to pay once. So what my plan is to do is to take it off the table and put it into action. And people call it a cement tax or an asphalt tax. No, it's just addressing what we know to be true. When you don't have grass, when you don't have natural areas to take the runoff from the rain, they have nowhere to go. So since they have nowhere to go, we have to invest, put in money, it costs money, right? To then have newer infrastructure, to have larger pipes, so that going forward, certain areas will not have these problems and we can prevent this sort of water problem from happening in other neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. So in North South Weston, most of the neighborhoods here are extreme risk to flooding, and we've known that for many, many years, which is why flooding is an extremely important part of my platform and preventing that in the future. There's two things we need to do. One is actually put in the infrastructure. And part of that is not voting against the stormwater management plan like the two current councillors here have done. What that means is putting together, so what I'm committing to doing as your city councillor is reinstating that stormwater management plan at city council so that we can actually start putting in the infrastructure where it needs to happen. Right now, as the capital repairs for basement flooding and prevention program, City Council likes to often say that the funding is there. The funding is not there. There's a cap. There's a $32,000 cap on those kinds of repairs. And that means that most of the work that needs to get done in the most vulnerable parts of this city, including in York Southweston, aren't getting done because it's too cheap. When we talk about flooding here in York Southweston, it is shameful that we don't have a city councillor who is willing to stand up to put in the infrastructure here. That means the Jean Street Bridge, for example, in Ward 11, that has been identified for many, many years that needs to be repaired because it acts as a bottleneck. Just 2 months ago, we heard about 2 workers who almost lost their lives in an elevator. That was here in North Southwestern, and that was because the city was too cheap to fix a bridge that they had identified in all of their environmental assessments that needed to be fixed to actually put in the long-term solution for flooding in this community. Here's what I've done, and I'm not even your city councillor yet. When flooding happened in Rockcliffe, Smythe, and even before that, I was fighting to keep a plot of land that was the last undeveloped part of land in this community, to keep it green, to not develop it. The councillor next to me decided to sell it off. and develop it. That land had been identified, again, in another environmental assessment, needing to have been put in new infrastructure to prevent flooding, and we just sold it off. We deserve better than this. We need to start holding our councilors accountable.
Thank you very much. Well, you know, it's amazing how, you know, when you're opposition, how you can make up lies and not give the facts. So as far as the stormwater management fee that came forward in council, staff recommended against it, and that they advised us to, because of the strong opposition from the public, that they would need further consultation. And as far as the Rockcliffe along the channel on Alliance, the environmental assessment was just completed last year. 2014. Was just, please don't interrupt. Did I interrupt you? Okay, the environmental assessment was just completed last year. Now, what I have done is that we, on behalf of advocated, the City of Toronto has advocated for federal funding through the National Disaster Mitigation Program. And to expedite the work from the TRCA, the channel is owned by TRCA. We are waiting for TRCA to do the design of the James Street Bridge. And what we've advised TRCA that we are not going to wait. We have the funding in the budget, and we want to get that work done next year. And so that's the truth. Those are the facts. And that work will be started in 2019. Now, as far as the work that was done in the rustic community, the work was done. Millions of dollars were invested in that community, and yet they still had flooding. That is a question that the residents in the rustic community should be asking our council. Like, why do you still get flooding when the city invested millions of dollars in that work? And you deserve an answer, and you haven't received that answer. And I promise you, I will give you that answer. And that's the truth, and those are the facts, not the lies.
There are facts, there's the truth, and there's rhetoric. Flooding is a major problem across the city. As budget chief, I know what it's like to allocate monies across the city. It might cost $150 million, let's say, to rectify a flooding problem in Ward 11. 25 people deciding whether they want to spend $150 million in one riding or divide 150 by 25 and spend $6 million in every riding. I can tell you, council unanimously will decide to spend $6 million across 25 wards. That's just the nature of the way council operates. Now, it is bad, I agree. Can any one councillor say to council, look, my problem is urgent. I need all $150 million. It falls on deaf ears. That's the reality of the marketplace. That's the reality of how things work. So that's the truth. Now, if it turns out that in my community I was able to get $20 million worth of work to increase sewer pipes, there are all sorts of sewer pipes and water mains that are blowing across the city. People don't want mishaps occurring in their community. And mishaps can be flooding. As I said, it can be water main break. They're without water for extended periods of time. Everybody doesn't want mishaps in their community. And we can't do things all at once. We have to do things sequentially. And what that means is we have to set priorities. So my ward got done before Ward 11. It turned out that the $20 million that was invested in my ward didn't work very well. Notwithstanding that the sewer pipes were enlarged and external engineers, not city engineers, external engineers put their stamp of approval and said the problem will go away. Well, the problem didn't go away. So who do we blame? Do we blame the councillor? Do we blame council? Do we blame the city? I don't know who we blame. But we will get answers.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the example of why nothing gets done in your community, because you have pure excuses. Excuses. You pay your taxes. You know, there's no... Listen, If Rosedale's, their basements are flooding, you damn well right you're gonna get it fixed. Why can't we? Because we don't have leadership right here. All they do is make excuses why things can't get done, pure excuses. And I'm tired of it. As a TTC operator, I'm tired of excuses, of mismanagement of the city council that is feckless, that can't get anything done. This is the problem right here. We have politicians making decisions that shouldn't be making decisions. They've been here too long. This is why Doug Ford's cutting this place. And thank God one of these guys are going to be gone. Hopefully both of them will be gone. If you guys on October 22nd vote wisely, don't vote for name. It's because of you guys vote for name, nothing gets done. Vote for the person who's talking about the issues. Vote for the person who you think is going to lead you, who's going to be your voice, who's going to stand up for you guys. That's going to be me. Okay, the passion in my voice is pure. It's coming from my heart because I see it as an operator how certain communities get treated better than others. It's a tale of two cities, and this city is in the dump. Where if you go on the east side, they're living at large, and there's no reason why it should be that way. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Fred Fosu, and if you make me your city councilor, I guarantee you no excuses, action only.
Thank you. This is what I'm saying. Waste of taxpayers' money. And nobody's accountable for the taxpayers' money. There's the reason why I used to like Rockford. Right? Because the old people are accountable for the taxpayers' money in City Hall. And taxpayers' money is not spent the right way. It should be no flooding when you're finished doing what you have to do. Larger part should be no flooding. If it's an engineer's fault, whoever decided, whoever to go back to them and let the company refund you back the money. It's our money. It's the taxpayers' money, me and you money. What paid into the city. And I'm sick and fed up of hearing all the time the excuse from everybody here. It's time for action. And if you elect me, I will get it done. I will make certain whoever fought this, they refund back the money to the city and fix the problem. Because it's not right. Every one of us live in a house. Right? And it's the same problems we have in these areas. If it was Forest Hill or wherever it is, you will never see it happening. Right? You will never see it happening. If it's Richmond, you will never, wherever it is, you will never see it happening. Why it happen in Ward 5, York Southwestern? Why it happening? We are the one have to say enough is enough to each and every one of these. I'm the outsider. And I tell you guys, I do a lot of community work all over, right? And I see enough is enough. And I ask you guys for electing me on Monday. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. A few months ago, I stood beside Jerry on Liscombe, and I listened intently as people cried that they lost their photos of their parents that they can't take again. And I worked with Jerry to bring senior leaders from the city, including the city manager, to our doorstep to begin to talk about what the issue is and how it can be resolved and who is accountable. Over the last 5 years, your basements have been flooded 2-3 times. Each time $30,000, $40,000. Our city councilor said brought in $40 million and still your basement is flooded. Who's accountable? Is it not our city councilor? That's who we elect. This is what I want. Moving forward in our neighborhood, we will have a local planning committee on day one. That committee will be made up of residents like you, of the city planning department, and my office. we will know what will be built in our neighborhood, and it will go through you because you will be at the center of decision making. No longer will we be responding to developers, will be responding to outside help. You will tell me what's needed and we will get it done. And if we need to stop development to catch up on infrastructure, then we will do that. But no longer will we make excuses about what needs to be done and what can't be done. You work hard. You work extremely hard in your neighborhood. I speak to you at Rustic Bakery every other morning. I talk to you about these issues in your driveways. I talk to you when we're walking over at Walmart and you're talking about what's going on in your neighborhood. No longer will they tell you that you cannot do it. It's time for a fresh start. It's time for somebody with a plan. Thank you so much.
I think it's been established that our ward is one of the poorest wards in the city and in the province. So what are some of your plans to increase development in the area, residentially, commercially, and industrial? And how would you secure more Section 37 monies in the future from developers and ensure that we negotiate these funds at the appropriate time? So what are some of your plans to increase development in the area, residentially, commercially, industrially, and how would you secure more Section 37 monies from developers and negotiate it at the appropriate time?
Thank you. When it comes to development, we're really talking about city building. And we have to ask ourselves the question, who builds the city? Those who live in it, or the developers, or those who just happen to own the property in it? And it has to be discussed between the two sides, right? We know the sort of resources and things that we would like to see in our neighborhoods. They also have ideas for what they also believe to be profitable. On the housing, day one, what we have to do is we have to invest in public housing. We spoke about it for years, we know it, right? And nothing's done about it. But along with that, we also have to start thinking about the mid-rise development. I know that you guys have heard about it, but especially in Ward 12, we have to then ask ourselves, where are we going to put these items, right? And besides, whose neighborhoods do those go? We have to begin having the conversation. Your children deserve to own a home as much as you do. And that will only happen with intensification. Intensification besides already established neighborhoods. We will have to give up something. Nothing is for free. When it comes to Section 37, when I saw that it's only like $2,500 for our ward, I was unbelievably shocked. I find it hard to believe that the development that's happened thus far has been so within the guidelines. $2,500 is all that we've gotten to Kitty. If I was to be elected, absolutely we are looking for more. We're looking for more to be invested in the public housing that we have here, in the commercial enterprises that we have here. It's not just our residential rates that are going up, it's also commercially. We want our local businesses to stay and maintain here in Weston.
Thank you, Cedric.
Thank you for the question. I believe in walking the walk. And the only people I want to be accountable to here are the people of York South Weston, which is why my campaign, and I am the only candidate to have said this publicly, and I would call on the incumbents to be able to say the same, has not accepted a single donation from a developer. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, the next 4 years in York South Weston, we are going to be seeing a lot of development, and we need to have a city councilor that's going to be able to negotiate with developers without being beholden to the people who finance their campaigns. I can say that with a clear conscience. And I would ask you to ask the other candidates if they can do the same. With regards to actually securing development, I am so excited about the development that's coming to York South Weston because it's an opportunity to secure the kinds of community benefits that we have needed in this community for so long. And that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that every new development has a community benefit agreement attached to it. And Section 37, listen, Section 37 is part of that. It needs to be addressed when it's time for it to be addressed, not leaving certain people, maybe perhaps many of them are in this room, hanging afterwards because you dropped the ball on addressing them when they should have been addressed. And we need to make sure that those community benefits agreements are much broader than Section 37, because Section 37, guys, is kind of like a little treat you get if you let developers break the rules, okay? We can negotiate deep, real community benefits agreements. We can start securing things like local jobs. We can start securing things like affordable housing and pathways to affordable home ownership. But we need to do that with a counselor who's not going to be beholden to developers, who's not going to be looking to give any favors to developers. We have a counselor who wants to waive all development charges for development happening in Mount Dennis. That is ridiculous. We have the second largest transit hub in the city of Toronto that has plenty of incentive to start gaining some community benefits from people who are going to be costing billions of dollars on our community.
Well, this is what you call inexperience, because we're not waiving development charges. Inexperience. What we are doing in Mount Dennis is that we're having a planning study, and we are trying to bring developers into the community to develop, because that area has not been developed in years. And with the Eglinton line, we want to attract developers to come in. And so there's no waiving development charges. I don't know where she's getting that from, but she's very confused. What we have done is there's been a lot of development happening and I've started the development. There's a lot of development happening in Weston. We did a charrette a few years ago with the community ULI, and we were able to look at, with the GO station, the GO stop, and the Up Express, we were able to get an application in on 22 John Street in partnership with Artscape and a cultural hub and the Weston Farmers Market. And what we did is with the development fees coming into the city, we gave to Artscape to build affordable housing. That's what we did. We did not waive development charges. And also, I tend to do a participatory budget for Section 37 money, which means that we will work with the community when there's a development application that comes in, and it's not that the developers break the rules. What it is, you go through a community process, you go through a planning process, and if the developer builds higher than what's under the city's bylaw, then there's Section 37 money, but the community supports it. It's not that it's given, it's just community participates in that. Now, what happened at Kiel and Maple Leaf, I don't know what happened there, but it's so unfortunate that we built a condominium where people are actually living in it, and they had to wait years to get registered, and the local councillor blamed the developer on Section 37, and people have been living in that. That's a shame.
Thank you. Planning is very dear to my heart. I was chair of planning back in 1988 in the city of North York, and so I know planning. I know the legislation. I know the process, and I respect transparency. Now, without going into great detail, when a planning application is submitted to the city, at a very early stage, it is the responsibility of city staff to determine whether Section 37 is applicable or not. Very easy to do. Once upon a time, it used to be up to the local councillor to determine whether Section 37 would be applicable or not. And some local councillors, who just said, yes, Section 37 is applicable and this is what I want. Some people ended up getting into big trouble. So the responsibility for Section 37 was taken to a large extent out of a councillor's hands, put into the city staff's hands. Councillors should be part of the negotiation, but the councillor doesn't initiate the negotiation. And so city staff, I have a tape. City staff says, on this particular application, since somebody brought up Maple Leaf and Keele, we don't think Section 37 is applicable, because we don't think the developer is going to get more than what the bylaw permits. Well, lo and behold, the developer got more than what the bylaw permitted. And I said, hold it, stop right there. If the developer is going to get more than what the bylaw permits, where's my section 37? Where is the section 37 for the community? It's taken 5 years. We may not get section 37. We just may not. But I appeared at the board, and I said at the board, OMB, and some people were there, I support the registration. And on June 19th, the registration was approved by the board. The registration was approved by the board. That is a provincial body. My question is, why is it not registered? Why is it not registered? If you want an answer, see me afterwards. Thank you.
You're a liar. Liar.
18 months you're out of this office.
Okay,
Thank God you're gone.
okay. You have the
No, you're a
opportunity
shame.
afterwards. Okay, let's go. Frederick?
Shame.
This is incredible, and you guys have to ask yourselves, are you guys better off now than you were 4 years ago? So why do you think you're going to be better off in the next 4 years with the same representation? You've seen the example of pure excuses. They tell you, oh, this can't be done, that can't be done. Trust me, if they want it to be done, it could be done. It's just they don't have the will. They don't have the will because they know there's no accountability. They know they're going to get reelected regardless. The only time you're going to see them is in the next 4 years. That's how we do it here in City Hall. We need new leadership. We need people who actually care. If it was up to me, I'd put term limits. Up to 3 terms. If you can't get it done, then let someone else do it.
Yes.
That's what I support. It's because they've been there too long. They're too entrenched into the system. I'm sure they're good people. They probably came in with good intentions, but we know the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? And ladies and gentlemen, if you vote for me, I'm going to be pure and transparent. I'm a so-called millennial. I grew up with the internet. I grew up with technology. I'm an artist. I do many different things. And one of the things when I came here is like, is this going to be streamed? Is the whole community going to be able to see this event? Because they need to see this event. This is the problem with the community. There's no participation. There's no engagement. There's no avenue. There's no place where everyone could come and make decisions. That is what I would invest in, making sure there's a town hall. Every other month, the whole community gets together. We make decisions. We don't let the politicians decide what's in our best interest. We, the people, decide what's in our best interest. That is what I would be pushing for. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking for your chance to represent you with passion and conviction. Please vote for President. Next shit, camera.
Listen, again, it's strictly excuses. Excuse or an excuse. I'll be honest with you right now. Any bill coming inside of here, in your Southwestern, is no how much is that $2,500, right? It'll be no $2,500 because when they put up those high-rise buildings, those condominiums, when they finish selling it, they make it more than that. Right? Every builder will come in here will have to pay $300,000 if they really want to build in this in York Southwestern. And the $300,000 go back into the community for development, for affordable housing is one, right? And stop the poverty is two. And make the kids go back and get a proper education. That is three, right? We have to be accountable. I am the outsider. Everybody here is the insider. I'm the outsider. Right. And I will make certain I do my community work and I will make certain every 5 to 6 months I get the community to come and tell me what they want to be done with every development in this place here. Everybody here said, trust me. I will tell you guys, trust me, I will fight for you guys and fight for you folks and stand up and say enough is enough. Builders coming, developers coming, they have to pay a fee. If they buy a house and they break it down, they have to pay enough money because they're going to sell it back. And that's the reason why I'm running. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, in 2014, in York Southwest, Section 37 in our community, we had $200,000. The average in the city of Toronto per ward is $900,000. Francis brought in zero. On top of that, Frank DeGiorgio brought in development, and then when it was built, he held the community hostage for 18 months. And under this days of Section 37, when the developer was clear that there was enough parking lots, they was making excuses, and guess what? The judge then voted against it and said, no, enough parking lots is there. Again, if you go down to Silverthorne, the same issues. The city cannot bring back the land because, again, our city councilor does not know how to push the city. This is our community. The same excuses. Development is important, but as an executive, if you look at our 200,000 we brought in versus the 900,000 that we're supposed to have, right, these two would not have a job. I would have fired them. So I'll tell you what now. As a city councilor, this is what I want to do. I know how to go and work for people because I've been an executive in nonprofit. On top of that, I know how to negotiate for you because, again, in business, you have to make tough decisions and negotiate well. I want to ensure that there's a community council of development with you and city planners to build the type of community that you want, with the charm, with the local businesses. And what you say you need, I will go out and I will be your chief marketing officer, your chief salesperson to bring in those resources into your neighborhood. And then on top of that, the money that comes in, we will then reinvest it in things like roads, in things like infrastructure, to make sure that you have the things you need. It is time for change. Thank you.
So there's an important one here about the prosperity platform. I know that many of the candidates here have made a pledge to this prosperity platform, which is to reduce poverty in our area. Now, remember, just because you own a house doesn't mean you're not house poor, okay? Because much of the money may go just towards the house. Toronto has the highest rates of child and adult poverty among large cities, and our particular ward has a very high one. Poverty costs Toronto $5 billion a year in health and social service costs and lost taxes, because people don't have jobs. We've got Indigenous people, people of color, people with disabilities, women, newcomers with high levels of poverty. Thousands of residents are waiting years for housing, childcare, and recreation programs. Torontonians face economic difficulties and have trouble making ends meet. So, what my question becomes is that since we live in a ward that has high poverty rates, and as a matter of fact, we have at least 4 neighborhood improvement areas in our ward, we have a lot of lost opportunities that way. How will you ensure that the prosperity platform is implemented so that everyone can live with dignity in our community? So Cedric, for the first one.
Thank you. Toronto's real issue isn't prosperity, because we see it all the time. Turn on your TV, you see lots and lots of prosperity in the city. It's that it's not equally distributed is what the issue is. And then we have to ask ourselves, why is there not equal distribution? Well, that comes down to choices. The way our area looks isn't like gravity. It doesn't have to be this way. It happens because of choices. Choices that individuals, of course, developers and stuff make, but more importantly, choices that councilors make. If you make a decision to do something on the left hand, and there's not enough money to do on the right, essentially you've taken away from the right. And that's what's happened in our ward of York South Weston way too often. Priority zones have to be treated actually as priority. And what that means is actually financing them. Giving all these great titles to all these great ideas doesn't service anything if the money behind it then does not come, is not invested. Right? I've heard some comments before about budgeting, what happens. Right? Putting up your hand and saying, absolutely, these communities, we need to do something about it. And then never following through with the funding is recipe for disaster, and that's what we've had. So we ask about a plan, what to be done that will be different. It's about actually spending the money for the different descriptors that we've decided for communities. It's about bringing jobs in. Once you have jobs, and people can also start investing themselves into, the overall tax base, that will help improve areas, opportunities, jobs, attention. We need attention. My eyes are on York South Weston.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I spoke quite a bit about poverty and inequality because as a social worker, I see the consequences of this every day. And as a resident here, I also see the consequences of those issues here every day, which is why I fully support the Prosperity Platform, and I was one of the first people to sign on to it. When I speak about getting to those root causes, like and addressing poverty, childcare, child poverty, we need to start providing families with the opportunity to actually go to work to provide for their kids. We're paying the highest child care fees in the country, so we're leaving our youngest, our most vulnerable behind, and we're not giving them the opportunity to grow and develop in a safe place. Which is why I fully support the child care growth strategy at the City of Toronto, and which is why I would always vote to fully fund it. Unlike, again, the two current councillors who voted to cut 200 child care spaces in the City of Toronto. The second part is looking at housing as a human right. I believe, and the basis of my platform is looking at housing as a human right, whether you rent or own your home. You have the right to a place to call home. And that's something that's ingrained in my platform, and which is what I would also like to pursue as a city councillor. And then finally, there's local jobs, making sure that we're bringing local employment as part of community benefits agreements here to York South Weston. Now, everybody always asks, well, how are we going to pay for that? And I do believe in making our tax system here at the municipal level more fair. Right now, we have seniors who, living on a fixed income, are paying thousands of dollars in taxes, and I'm somebody who I'm not just city councillor yet. I can't change the laws, I can't change the tax system, but here's what I can do, and I have done. I've helped dozens of seniors save hundreds of dollars on their property taxes because of the programs that the city has. I think we need to be increasing those programs so more people who have lower incomes have better access to relief when it comes to property taxes, but I also think we need to be more accountable of how we're spending taxpayer dollars. We don't need to spend $3 billion on a one-stop subway in Scarborough. That is a waste of money, and we deserve better, unlike our two current councillors
who voted to support that. $3 billion. That's a surcharge on
Francis?
top of your property taxes.
Okay.
On top of that.
Well, that issue passed 5 years ago.
And you-
I've also signed the platform as well. I do support living wage and full funding for the poverty reduction strategy. Now, and as was mentioned, neighborhood improvement area, and absolutely in Ward 11 and Ward 12, I know that you had the neighborhood improvement area, and we've been successful getting some funding for a couple of pre-park improvements in our area as well, which we were very successful. But one thing, I think, one thing that I did fight for when we built the community center at Eglinton and Black Creek was that it be a priority center and all programming is free. And and as you know, people that attend it's packed. And we were able to get free programming because there are not a lot of centers in the city that do have free programming. as well as I think we need to create jobs as well. It's very difficult in York Southwest and as well as the city for jobs. And by building new development and the new infrastructure that we've had with the transit improvements, I'm pleased to say that we've been able to hire a lot of local youth to hammerheads to work on these projects. Poverty is, I went through poverty myself years ago as a single mom. I was forced to quit school when I was 16 because my father couldn't afford to feed the family, so I had to quit school and support my brothers and sisters. And then when I was married, I was a single mom. When my son was 3 months old, I had to work 3 jobs just to pay rent and buy food. So I know what it is. I've experienced those challenges. And so I think it's important that we work together, and I am in full support of full funding for the poverty reduction strategy.
First of all, I also signed a pledge to support the anti-poverty strategy. It's a strategy that was really moved forward very passionately by the late Councillor McConnell in the city of Toronto, the old city of Toronto. We all know that the best way out of poverty is for people to have a good job. And so one of the proactive planning steps that I've taken is that I've worked over the last year with Leon's, Terry and Eddie Leon, to try and get a redevelopment on a 40-acre site. Most of you will know it, east of James Street, just south of 401. Unfortunately, the provincial government is not very supportive of that redevelopment. Very simply because the provincial government has a policy that says we must protect our industrial lands. And so if Eddie Leon wants to redevelop the property with office uses that will bring in innovative office uses to cater to or to supply medical supplies to the hospital that's on Wilson Avenue, and then put in residential condos, not necessarily affordable housing, which everybody keeps crying for. But I can tell you that I have more than my fair share of low rental housing in my community. And back in 2007, I supported, and by the way, it's being promoted by one of the mayor candidates today, I supported rent-to-own for private rental ownership. Why don't we give people that live in a private rental building the opportunity to own their own building? And that went all the way to court. And the city challenged a private developer that was willing to do all the necessary investment, refurbish, do new furnaces, new pipes, whatever. He did all that. And he wanted the OMB. But the city turned around and said, we don't want to lose rental units. We're going to appeal that to the courts. And the courts basically turned it down. But now somebody's promoting it.
Poverty is a big issue. Maybe not for everybody here. I don't know everybody personally, but even if you consider yourself middle income or upper middle income, poverty will affect you because those who don't have anything often turn to those who have. That's why your cars are being broken into. That's why things are being stolen from your backyard, is because the poor are coming after those who they feel have something. And many of you are just getting by yourselves, maybe living paycheck to paycheck, you maybe working long hours to keep your stuff, and then suddenly someone comes and they take it. Well, we gotta get these people jobs. And unfortunately, there are a lot of jobs in the city, but they're not being filled. As an operator myself, a TTC operator, I was told, hey, they're hiring. And then I applied and I got it. So an operator told me, hey, they're hiring. This is the process that you get in to get into the TTC. And the TTC, they start off at $26 an hour. And top rate is $34. That's a lot of money for a high school education. They don't tell you these things. There are a lot of city jobs available, different jobs, but they don't advertise it. So we need to be connected. We need to be connected to the jobs. We need to let those people know, yes, there are jobs. And we need to let them know, we need to mentor them and tell them how to get these jobs. If you walk down there, you're going to see it. There's people standing in corners, selling drugs, doing Lord knows what. When I was a kid, I never saw this. It breaks my heart to see all this going on. And it doesn't have to be that way. If we had real leadership, if we had counselors that cared, it's not enough to say I came from poverty. But if you came from poverty, do something about it. Don't just say, hey, you know, I was this, I was that. No, there's nothing wrong with being poor, but staying poor, that's the problem. So we need to give people opportunities, we need to link them to jobs, and we need to just give it back, pretty much. That's it.
Poor excuses all the time. Poverty should be everybody's concern, even in this room. Right? Affordable housing. Have a solution. With Toronto Community Housing, if we say to the people in Toronto Community Housing, if you rent in this place, be able to sell it to you. The rent is including your mortgage every month. Right? 200,000, whatever the place may be, and we sell to you with your rent. You will see people will start to feel much better that they own their home. They want to do it. You will get them self-esteem, more better, everything they wanted to do. And you will see the poverty rate drop. You will see you want to go out there and look work. Right? Because we have a serious problem. None of us is not, they're not taking responsibility. The city council is not taking responsibility for these things. And I hear the promise right through all the time. And this is the reason why I'm running. Because broken promises. Right. And if I'm being elected, I will tell you, I only want 2 terms. Up front, it should be 2 terms for every city council. Let the new face come. Some people that 15, 20 years, what is going on in this place? Right? And the chairman running after the name, and everybody running after the name. Come on. It's time, enough is enough. You people said, what, you know what? We're going to stop you. We're going to pull the brakes on it, and I'll be honest with you. If you elect me, I only want 2 terms to fix the problem. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Lee Cam Holloway, and I grew up in poverty in Weston. So it's a personal thing to me also. In this community specifically, 1 in 3 children are living in poverty. 1 in 5 seniors live in poverty in this community. 50% of people living in this community spend more than 30% of their income on rent. That is living below poverty. And on top of that, our city councilor voted to non-exempt the anti-poverty strategy and the housing strategy from the 2018 budget. And they say they care about poverty. Enough. Basta. We need change. We need new ideas, new energy. This is what I'm going to do. Every single development that comes into the neighborhood, 10% will go into local jobs in our neighborhood. I've done it on Eglinton LRT. I work with Metrolink to ensure 10% of jobs right here. I'm going to do it on all other developments here in our neighborhood. On top of that, I'm going to ensure that there's local jobs for people. Local and good access to opportunities. Not just the $14 minimum wage, but good prosperity opportunities. By creating mentorship opportunities, by ensuring that there's summer programs, by ensuring that our seniors have good supports, right? And they're not just house poor, but we're actually supporting them. It's a shame that we continue to go from 2 to 5 neighborhood improvement areas, which are communities that living under poverty. If you now put our two wards together, it's a ridiculous amount. Ladies and gentlemen, they've told us that we can't do it. They've told us that they've tried. They've told us that 30 years of experience has led us to here. I know we deserve better. Thank you so much.
Okay. Many of you have already talked or at least touched on this, but it's an important one, and it's about seniors. There are many seniors here, including myself. For the first time in history, there are now more Torontonians aged 65 plus than children aged 15 and below. The number of people in Toronto aged 65 and over is expected to almost double by 2041, and nationally, seniors are projected to constitute 1/4 of the Canadian population by 2036. The city has created the Toronto Senior Strategy 2.0. In that strategy, there are 27 recommendations, 18 short-term and 9 medium-term. And it is extremely important to take into consideration the seniors' population as we age and move forward. So, how will you ensure that those recommendations are implemented, such as dental care for those that can't afford it, community paramedicine to support seniors in their homes, a better caregivers policy, and so on? Senator?
Well, as with so many of these items, it's about commitment. It's not about the words, it's not about signing the pledges. It's about understanding that our world today looks vastly different than it has, as many other generations have turned over, and will require us to use new and innovative ideas. So, when we talk about our seniors and those who don't have, we should start with them right off the bat. Right off the bat, we have to provide them with the supports, because when they don't have the supports, we know where we end up seeing them. We end up seeing them in our hospitals. And we know how much it costs per night to have someone in the hospital. We have to have our agencies reaching out to seniors. We can't just wait for them to come to us. We have to start becoming proactive in our approaches, whether it's the children we're talking about, but of course with the seniors. We also have to re-envision the way, and seniors will also have to take some of this responsibility as well, as to how we will live. People aren't really interested in being housed in retirement homes if that's not their idea. But if we're going to have you stay at home, how is it that we can keep you there, but also have you having the care that you need in off hours? We might have to start more of these ideas that we have with Ryerson and Toronto, and partnering up seniors with younger students for reduced rent. We really have to start getting innovative and think about these things now, because the problem isn't tomorrow. The problem is here right now. There are seniors who are suffering, and sometimes in silence. It's time that they have a voice.
Thank you for the question. As a social worker in this community, I work with many seniors, and these are people who have worked their entire lives to contribute to society. And when it comes time for them to retire, society often has been turning their backs on them. And that comes from not having the political will in our current municipal government to fund the kinds of services that we need to make sure that our seniors are feeling supported and getting access to the services and resources that they have a right to in their retirement. This is a generation that has worked for us. I owe so much to the seniors in my life who have worked for me, and especially my own grandparents. So this is an issue that's very close to me, both at a professional but also at a personal level. I believe in walking the walk again. So when I am running a campaign, I am running a campaign that is accessible to seniors. I am the only candidate here with an accessible office because I built the ramp. I am also while knocking on doors, I've knocked on so many doors with seniors, and they tell me their property taxes are too high because living on a fixed income as a senior, those property taxes by no means and no fault of their own have doubled, tripled over their lifetime. And they didn't even know about the programs that the city already has in existence. Not all property tax deferrals for seniors in this community so that more people would be eligible for them, but also so that more people would know about them. It's heartbreaking for me to see so many seniors struggling to stay in their homes when you fight so hard to have the opportunity to own your home and build your home. You know, my nana, she still lives in the same house my nana built when they came to this country. We need to make sure that our seniors can stay inside their homes, and that means making sure that the property tax programs are available for them to cancel them, but it also means expanding programs to their homes. Sidewalks are dangerous for seniors in the wintertime.
Thank you. Francis?
Thank you very much. I also have an accessible ramp at my campaign office. I want to say, she walks by my office every day. I'm surprised she didn't notice it. But what I want to say is to the board, I sat on the Board of Health and on the senior strategy, and I supported the recommendations that the Board of Health had brought forward. We also, my office, we help the seniors for the rebate on water and tax rebate. We help them with that. We go to their homes and we help them fill out the forms. And the city does have a program where we do give seniors a rebate or a deferral. As well as one thing that we did carry over even after amalgamation is we have the snow lane program for seniors. So if you're a senior and you want some help on removing the snow in your driveway, that we have seniors groups that will provide that services that is funded by the city. And all you have to do is apply for that program. And that was carried over after amalgamation. Seniors, you're absolutely correct, Louisa. And what we're doing as well is that there was a development application that came in Weston. Originally, it was just going to be just an apartment with a rental. But what I was able to advocate in the community, the Residents Association, that we wanted it to be a seniors building because we need more seniors housing. And so the applicant agreed to that. And that application will come forward next year. So, and also some of our Toronto housing buildings that were originally built for seniors, as you know, are not seniors now, and they've been converted. So I'm working with Toronto Housing on getting these buildings that were originally built for seniors back to seniors. The seniors want to live in buildings with the seniors, and it's very important to them. Thank you.
First of all, I have a constituency office, most of you may know, on Ingram Drive. It's on the main floor, don't need a ramp. But there's a ramp on the sidewalk that allows people to walk to my office. That being said, when it comes to services for seniors, we have to break it up into two parts. There are the health-related services, which is really the responsibility of the province, and then services related to property, whether it be assistance on property taxes, whether it be help in minimizing the water increase, the water rate increase, and we do give property tax freezes. I help in my community office, I help people fill out forms that allows them to qualify for freezing of property tax increases, or water rebates, or even hydro rebates. So we do a lot of things for seniors. How many more things can we do? Well, we can always look at a whole bunch of things. We can make seniors, give them a reduced TTC pass, even more than what might be available today. But it doesn't matter what we do.
That's all we need to
Do, I'm sorry?
reduce their taxes on everything. That's the best solution for everybody.
Mary, that is a great solution.
That's what
But I want to give you an acronym. Very few people know. There's an acronym, and it's NAME. You know, somebody asks your name, but NAME stands for not at my expense. Okay? So what happens is when you reduce property taxes for seniors, there's no, I'm not against it, but understand that the rest of us have to pick up their property taxes. And if we're willing to do that, no problem. I'm the first one to lead that parade. Thank you.
Okay, you done? Okay,
Why can't we cut a few extra jobs?
respect for seniors, respect your seniors. That's what I was brought up with. That's a motto, respect your seniors. And when I'm operating the DTC, the first thing I always do, I always look at the priority seats. If some young punk sitting there, I'm gonna say, hey, you need to get up right now. I got into fights over this, but it's for respect. You know, seniors, they pay their dues. At least, let them have a comfortable seat. It's not too much to ask, is it? And that's the motto I would take going to City Hall. Respect your seniors. Property taxes are too high. You're paying high, and you're paying more and getting less. It just doesn't make any sense. I'm all for reducing the property tax for seniors. I'm also for reduced fares for seniors during non-rush hours. Kids ride for free. Why can't the seniors get a break? You know? So I'm all for that. And granted, I am a young man, and I look up to my seniors to give me advice. For which I see a white beard, and I'm in awe, because this is a wise person, I say. So I'm going to need you seniors to help me, to tell me what you need. I want to advocate for you, but I need your vote. We've had 30 years of the same leadership. They're going to sign a lot of pledges. They're going to tell you a whole bunch of things that you want to hear, and it's going to do it all over again in the next 4 years. But we have options, ladies and gentlemen. The young generation that are coming up, give us a chance to help you. Like my mother sitting right there, who supports me, and I want to support her. I want to do her proud. I want to do this city proud as well. So I'm asking for your vote, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fred Foster. Thank you.
I remember I used to run a program called Press Start Seniors. I used to take bags to the seniors. I don't care where they live. So long as I call that number, I take a grocery bag to the seniors, including meat, Christmas time, they have a turkey, they have everything. Right. We have to respect our seniors. My mother's a senior. And my mother told me when she was 7 coming in, she said to me the other day, she said, I pay a lot of property tax. When I sell this condominium, I pay back tax to the government. Why should we pay back tax to the government when we work so hard for our money? Our mothers work so hard for the money. We have to start to respect the seniors. We have to lower the taxes for the seniors. Right? Because the seniors is here. Right? They can't afford it anymore. Right? They're very, very weak, very fear that they're trying the best to hold on what they have to give to the kids. And the kids want to do the same thing, pass it on. Right? And we have to respect the seniors with everything what we're doing. And my response is, no. It is wrong to pay the taxes how much years ago that mean that it's time, but get respect. And if I'm being elected, you understand? The seniors will write the transit for free, right? And I will compel the city to remove the snow off the driveway without any other program. Because I remember when I was a young man, I used to work for the city in my Paris time. They used to remove snow. They used to hire us as young people to remove the snow for the seniors. Why we cannot do that? No, thank you.
Thank you. So my wife and I, we bought our home on Gotham a few, 6-7 years ago, and it was a same. And the proudest moment of my life to date was buying our new home, I guess, 3-4 years ago now, on Spartan, because my mother got to move in. In these communities, we have second, third, and fourth generations living in the same home. And that's what makes our community special, right? It is at the doors when somebody comes and then another person comes and another person comes and you're all living here. That is what makes our community amazing. But we also know that 1 in 5 of our seniors in this community live in poverty. That during the winter time, some of our seniors are stuck in their homes because they cannot get around their driveway because our city councilors couldn't get their snow removed properly. Or there's a tree that they're trying to get rid of that our city councilors are not responding to. 24 hours, I will respond to you. That is my pledge. You call me, my office will call you back within 24 hours. You won't have to chase me. Number 2, I do believe that all seniors should ride for free. I think that is the service that we owe them. On top of that, we want to make sure that there's more senior programs and services here in the community. Because loneliness is a thing. We have widows, we have widowers that live in this neighborhood. And if they cannot access good supports and services, then again we failed. So enough already. Enough that we can't do it. Enough of who's going to pay for it. Our seniors have built our community. There's people that live on Maple Leaf that have been there for 50 years. There's people that live on Lawrence that knew it when it was a dirt road. I think they deserve our support. Thank you so much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot more questions. However, it is 9 o'clock, and what we're going to ask is for each one of you to close, to give us your closing remarks. You have 3 minutes each.
Thank you, Louise. So we're all here because something is not quite right. If everything was great, you'd be at home, I'd be at home, you'd be watching the game, you spend time with your families. But inherently, you know that something's not right. That's why I'm here. That's why I left my regular life of anonymity to knock on doors, to stand in front of you now, to answer questions, difficult ones. Because we can have better. But it's the better that we all have to choose together. Not the better I tell you you deserve, but the better that I think you should have. It's got to be the better that we collectively together agree upon. The way things are now, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. The Weston of old, Bike City, we can have that again. We just have to choose it collectively. For you to get that, you need a leader. Someone who's going to be responsive to you. Someone who can listen to you and also comes with ideas for you to bounce around and decide if you agree on or not. Again, the way we're living now, it's not natural like gravity. It's choices. Some of those choices are made by some of the people at the table here. You know, I've heard a lot of comments over these last 2 hours about the city, the city, the city. Newsflash, everyone, we're the city. And more specifically, individuals at this table are city leaders. We can't just push this off. We should bring responsibility in-house. And that's going to start with respect. Me respecting you as you sit here, respecting colleagues on city council. We need people who can also collaborate to get things done. And I haven't heard a whole lot of collaboration here. My name is Senator Gogovi. I'm running to represent you and bring respect back to York South, Weston. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Chiara Padavani, and again, this is my home. York South Weston has always been my home. I grew up here, I went to school here, I live here, and I work here as a social worker. I want to see the best for this community. This is the community that raised me. And that's why I'm running for city council. Because over the years, we have been neglected. Over the years, we have missed opportunities. And make no mistake, the next 4 years are going to be laying down the foundations of a community that we can revitalize, that we can stand up for, that we can demand better for. And that's what I want to do as your city councilor. Because this is the community that has always been my home. And I owe it to my grandparents who came here, looking for a future of opportunity for their kids. I owe it to the people who I grew up with, who taught me and mentored me as a young woman. And I want to make sure that the people in North South Weston have access to that community over the next 4 years. Because there are going to be many development opportunities coming here. And again, I can assure you, and I can say this with a very clear conscience, I will not be beholden to any developer or corporate interest because I have financed my campaign with grassroots campaigning, and not a single developer or corporate interest has donated to my campaign. Ask the other candidates if that has happened. So we have an opportunity to demand better in this community. And that's what I want to do. That's why I'm running. Instead of waiving development fees, and we've had 2 councillors here who have accused me of lying, and I will be happy to remind them of their records online later via Twitter or Facebook. But we have 2 city councillors who've missed 2 very important opportunities. One was the sale of 200 Rockcliffe Court. That was in Ward 11. That was an opportunity to actually put in the flooding infrastructure that Rockcliffe Smythe has needed for decades. And we sold off that land, and it was true. It was identified in two reports, that we needed to put in the flooding infrastructure for Rockcliffe Smythe. It was just sold, with the support of our councillor in the former Ward 11. Dropping the ball on Section 37 in a development in the former Ward 12 is another example of a missed opportunity. But now, not only just accepting the fact that it wasn't negotiated in the right way, and that councillor likes to speak a lot about due process and accountability. You missed your opportunity, and now you're taking it out on the residents in that building. We need to have a city councillor who is not going to be afraid to stand up for what's right and for the people in this community. That's why I'm running. It is the only reason why I'm running. Thank you so much. My name is Kiara Paradani. Vote for me on October 22nd.
As I said, we do not waive development charges.
Just go. Just go.
Oh,
Just go.
Okay, guys, let's hear it, and then you can ask questions later. Let's finish this off.
We do not waive development charges, ever. And it's never happened. Now, as far as campaign contributions, yes, I have received contributions from the development industry. And some of these contributions that I've received, I've actually taken them to the OMB because I haven't supported them. So, under Kiara's logic, she's only accountable to those who give her money, which is special interest groups and unions. They're funding her campaign. This is a very critical time, October 22nd. We need a strong, experienced leader to see all the projects that I've been working on to be completed. As far as revitalization, I have started revitalization along Mount Dennis and Weston. What I don't understand is we have Camp, we have Kira, everybody up here taking credit for things that they were not even responsible for. They never attended a meeting. Kira talks about what she's been doing. She's done nothing. The only thing she's done is since she decided she was going to run for councillor, all of a sudden she knows and she's been doing everything. Camp wasn't even involved in Kodak. Wasn't involved in anything. He's taking credit for it. Come on, be honest. Don't be dishonest to the voters. Experience matters. I have served you with honesty, integrity, and dedication, and I will continue to do that. And my priority are my constituents, and that I will continue to serve my constituents and return every phone call. This is not a time for job training, on-the-job training. This is not the time. We need a strong voice at City Hall, and I'm that voice because I have the respect from all the colleagues on council. Thank you. On October 22nd, vote None.
you. Over my political career, I've had the opportunity to work and collaborate very closely with 4 different mayors, stemming back to Glassman, followed by Miller, followed by Ford, and now Tory. I've served on the executive committee of all 4. That says something to me, if not to you. I have a balanced approach, whether it be to problems, whether it be to requests, whether it be to needs of the community. I represent a community that I respect, a community that is tolerant, a community that doesn't ask for a lot. They ask for their fair share, and they deserve their fair share. And my job is to make sure they get their fair share. And anybody that comes forward and denies my community their fair share has to answer to it. Now, you can hear all the rhetoric you want, that I did this and I did that, but the reality is, if people do things the right way, they get everything they deserve. If a developer did things the right way, he is entitled to registration. There is nothing that I can do, nor God can do, to prevent him from getting registration, if he did everything according to the rules.
You can delay.
I doesn't matter delay. From July to now, who delayed it?
You did.
I didn't delay from July to now. It was approved by the province.
For years.
Still not registered. Why don't you go to the province and tell them they're lying?
Okay.
Go to the OMB.
Is that how you treat
The OMB approved it. You were there and they approved it. Oh, you stopped the registration. You are the OMB.
You're a liar.
Okay, hold on. I understand you're upset about that particular issue. However, let him finish, and then we will have about 15 minutes afterwards and you can mingle. Okay? And if you want to talk to him further, that's fine. Okay? Let's
Let me just put this to bed and say the surrounding community is not upset. The surrounding community is not upset.
We're not the community, right?
No.
We're not the community team.
No,
That's
you don't
why.
live-
We
you don't
don't.
live on a street
We're
that's
not the
gonna get
community.
overflowed.
You're
You live
disrespectful
on
to
Donnery?
us.
You
You're
live on Erie?
disrespectful.
You live on Donnery.
You should have more respect for
You
your
live on Donnery.
constituents, okay?
Shop your face.
Next,
My
Councilor.
community, Tony, you understand.
You are, yes.
You understand.
You're the best. You're the light
I represent a community that deserves their fair share of resources.
Yes.
And if they elect me, they will get their fair share of resources. They will not withhold me.
I'm counting 7 days.
I am accountable to make sure that my community does not get shortchanged.
We are your
If you
community.
believe otherwise, you should vote for someone else. Thank you.
I was gonna go home.
Deserve that, okay?
I said everybody.
No, they did not deserve that.
We're your community.
Frederick, can you please finish off?
30 years, I've been here.
You heard his version.
Again, if you're not in agreement, you know what to do next Monday, okay? So let's talk about Frederick. Let's hear him.
Ladies and gentlemen, you see, this is a prime example of what's wrong with City Hall right now. Lack of accountability. They feel you're entitled to their vote. You guys don't owe them nothing, ladies and gentlemen, okay? You don't owe them nothing. You don't have to go with the media's narrative. Like this morning, I saw both of these guys on CP24. You know, they don't want change, ladies. They want to keep the status quo. But you know what? You guys have an opportunity to tell them otherwise. Tell them that you deserve better. On October 22nd, you guys got a choice. You don't have to put up with this anymore. I don't need to tell you, you guys are all involved in the community. That's why you guys are here. But there's a lot of people who can't be here, who are working hard hours, who are on the streets, who are homeless, who don't see hope in this community. We need to reach out to all these people and let them know you guys have an option. There is hope for you. But we need to be a community. Unfortunately, in this community has the lowest voter turnout of all. This is why we're stuck with these people. Because we are not engaged. You all are engaged, but you need to call your friends, call your family, call your neighbor who's not here and say, listen, we could do better. And I want to represent you, ladies and gentlemen, because I love this community. I grew up here, and it breaks my heart to see it going to the crap, because I've seen better. As an operator, I've gone throughout the whole city. I see other communities and how they develop. I see other city councilors, how they represent their constituents, and when their constituents want something, they get it, because they put pressure on their councilor. I want you guys to put pressure on me to get what you want. That's the measure of a leader, someone who listens to people, not just talks, not just makes excuses, but actually acts. And ladies and gentlemen, if you vote for me, Fred Fosu, October 22nd, I promise you, I will be accountable to you, and I will act. No excuses, no shouting at you, not telling you how it has to be, but just acting on your behalf. That's what a leader does. Thank you.
You guys are the voters. You ever see a suitcase when you throw it back, clothes, and you want to take it to the Salvation Army? You put it in the suitcase, and you take it to the Salvation Army box. You understand what I'm saying? Right? The media now. You do the same thing. On election day, you go and cast your ballot. And you do the same thing, you put it into the Salvation Army box. Say enough is enough. Because everybody right here now, all of my, it's supposed to be 11 of us, right? Ask them if this paper with every property and everything on this paper I have. The city website ask them if they have it right now on there to show you what's the poverty problems, what's the homelessness. Everything is right here. And they do not have it. The media does not care about you guys. And I plead with you guys, I'm the outsider. Right? I'm the one, if you elect me, I'm accountable to you. You are the voters, I'm accountable to you. And I'll return calls every time. I'm not going to return calls in the next 3 hours, next 2 hours. I have somebody there, they will be able to answer the phone. Right? They will be able to answer the phone. Everybody calling them to have the wheelchair accessible. Right? I'm at 1730 Weston Road. I have wheelchair accessible. Right? Right. I just spend a lot of everybody getting funds and getting donations. Ask how much of them right now own to pay for the campaign office. By donation, they don't respect the taxpayers' money. I pay what I can afford to pay for the campaign office because I want to respect the taxpayers' money. And we is the one paying the taxes, and nobody will be shouting at you guys or calling you guys out in the name and doing what they want to do, and taking credit for something that they didn't do. I'm not taking credit for nothing because I didn't do it. I'm taking credit for what I did. Right? I run an organization called Fresh Start Seniors. I run an organization called Young Nice Mother. And I do what I have to do for the seniors, for the people that I don't care what part of the city. I'm making certain I go and make certain they get things done. On Monday, please vote Keaton Austin. Thank you.
This has been a spirited debate. It's been interesting, and I thank you so much for having me and for having us. First of all, I want to apologize for that. That's not democracy. It's not how it works, right? We are better than that. I want to thank the organizers for putting this on. It's been a good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ken Holloway, and I want to represent you, and I would be humbled to represent you. I live at Keelan Lawrence with my 3 kids and my wife. I've been an executive in nonprofit, senior leader in government, and a senior executive in the private sector. This is not on-the-job training. I've hired that have made tough decisions. I've brought millions of dollars into this community, at For Youth Initiative, all across this community to support young people and to bring real economic prosperity here. This is not on-the-job training. My colleague talks about, I wasn't there. The difference between myself and Frances is this. I am proactive, she's reactive. I'm not talking about gas plants. She didn't even know there was a gas plant until we wrote a letter to tell her, Laura Albanese, that there was a gas plant, and then she did a meeting. We already brought it to the forefront. Ladies and gentlemen, we brought it to NPCA, and together we pushed it. These are the type of things that happen in our neighborhood all the time. That they try to discredit us. They try to tell us that we are less than. They try to tell us that we don't know how to do our jobs. On October 22nd, we have a unique opportunity to get rid of 30 years of failed leadership. But we have to also be mindful about where our votes go. There's momentum in our campaign. Today we were endorsed by the Toronto Star because they saw that there was a real potential for change here. But if we split our votes, we return back to the status quo. We cannot afford the status quo. We cannot afford 30 years of failed leadership for another 4 years. I ask them this. What have they not done in the last 30 plus years that they need to do in the next 4? When I sit at Weston Bakery and I sit and we talk about the issues, it's clear that there's a need for change. Complacency is enough. Enough of the status quo. Enough of enough. Enough of people telling us that we are less than. Enough of people disrespecting our time and our efforts. Enough of people who have been career politicians that are just entitled to their seats. Yes. Enough. We can be better and we will be better. 4 years ago, I came 1,300 votes away. This opportunity, we can cross the finish line together. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard everyone this evening. I really encourage you to look at the material, think and reflect on what you heard, vote according to whatever you think will improve our community. And October 22nd, a week today, and engagement is extremely important. You've heard this before. I cannot emphasize how important it is for everyone to be engaged in this vote. Because we're now at 25 councillors. We've got lots happening in the city in the next 4 years. We've got to ensure that you go out and vote. Vote for who you think is best for our ward. But please vote. Bring your elderly parents if they can't get there. Bring your friends. Bring whomever. Make sure you go out and vote. Thank you. Have a good evening. And these candidates, I'm sure, are available for a few minutes if you want to clarify anything. Thank you.
Why are you doing that?
I'm sorry. I was just trying to pump on you. Sorry about that.